Good day, everyone. You're welcome on Just to Be Online TV. I'm Abdulqadir Isiaq once again on a program, issues and realities. And today we're talking about a very landmark topic because like we talked about last week, that is security of lives and properties in Kwara. But today we'll take a new dimension. I think socially, when we talk about security or social well-being of the people, there is the action part and there is the policy part. We want to talk about the body language of the government or the players of in the security apparatus of our state as it is, because it's one thing for the people to be safe, it's another thing for them to feel safe in their own in their respective cocoons. So today I have with me a journalist, a public affairs analyst, a good governance advocate, and a climate actor, Mr. Abdulkabir Ambali, who will be giving us his own opinion on the whole thing. You're welcome on the show, sir. Let's start from, as a journalist, as an information expert. Do you think the managers of governance in this state or in Nigeria in general are managing in wave of information rightly when it comes to information, social welfare, or even dishing out policy initiatives?
Good day once again. Good day, viewers at home. I think the question is self-explanatory. Actually, basically, the major role of government in today's politics should be about protecting life and properties. And you cannot protect life and properties if you have not put in place effective mechanisms to get that done. So if you talk about information disseminations in these difficult times, for me as a journalist, I would say that we have a lot of gaps. And that is why the situation is getting worse as it is. The insecurity is not a bane peculiar to Kwara State, it's a national menace. Now, for a state run by bandits, kidnappers, and so on and so forth, we expect that the government should be more articulate in the way they push out information, in the way they keep citizens informed. Generally, if we need to talk about how the whole situation is going on, so we actually blame the way government handles the information part of the whole situations, because it is through proper information dissemination of citizens for whom the whole policies regarding security are made, will be duly informed about the situation. If people are informed beforehand, attacks will be prevented. And of course, it shows that the government are putting people on track. So that will give them the benefit to handle the situations when it comes. So information-wise, my thinking is that the government is not doing it the way it should be done. And let's look at it from this angle. In these kind of situations, like it happened in other contexts, for instance, so we are supposed to have a centralized information system, one that is trustworthy and proactive. So why do I say that? For instance, now you have special assistance on communications. You have a number of essays that designate functions to. But beyond that is that the governor, who is the chief executive officer, ought to understand that people need him more than he says at this moment, because informations coming out as regard this difficult situation, so to say, can only be trusted if it comes from the resource. So I cannot, for instance, now if I'm the essence of the governor, so the best I can do, because mostly governors even in state like ours, how many times do our governor, does our governor stay at home?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't know, because I don't have access to the flight manifest.
That's another end of discussion for another day. But the point is just that governor visibility is key, and this visibility is keenly tied to the way he himself presents himself to the public, so that citizens that are struggling, that are feeling the brunt of business security, will understand that they have someone who is in charge. So it goes beyond you saying that say this is what is happening. Speak to the people. Like for instance, now since this whole thing started, you expect the governor should have actually held a press conference.
But he has granted an interview.
Consistent press conference, one that feeds on the informations from the security architecture. So that way, citizens will understand that the governor is following the situations, and they can actually believe every step his government is taking to salvage the situation.
But information in this kind of situation is a two-way thing. Like the citizen too, apart from needing information from the government, when they have information, they need people to speak to. And then even after attacks, for example, when there was a time some people brought themselves together. It was all over social media. They said they were looking for their local government chairman, and they were unable to see him. He came out to say that he was on another assignment. As the chief executive officer of the local government, if some people you give some people on matter as important as security, you give them appointment to come and meet you, and then you have a bigger assignment to attend to. Don't you think? I know what I'm saying, because the chairman claimed that he's in a high power security meeting. Let's take it like that. So now, don't you think there should be a communication channel to reach out to these people? Okay, I can't make it now. I'm currently in the capital, and we're trying to find solution. Maybe you wait till this thing snowballed, and then it became as if this chairman is dragging this with the people. And then the same thing, as I think we're now having the same kind of situation in the state capital or in the whole state. The citizen now feels that nobody is listening to them.
The issue is the fact that we don't place premium on important issues. I don't know, you talk about high state meeting or whatever. There shouldn't be anything bigger than the life of citizens. Because the whole governance, so to say, revolves around people. So I wonder why, if people are not safe in their own lands, so what then is governance in the first place? The point is this: the attitude of the government is reflective of how self-indicting the whole situation is around them. When you have insecurity, is not a new thing. Of course, it might be an emergency, because in Kwara State, for instance, this is, to many people, this is something really strange. Though you might have been experiencing something like that in the past, but the fact is that it is not as intensive as it is now. So, and it's unfortunate that this is happening during his administrations. So I won't be the one to take the blame, because I'm not in government. The government is the one entrusted with the mandate to protect life and properties. So whatever happens, there is, like I said at the beginning, the way information is, because the whole thing about insecurity regarding the sources can also be traced to information. The biggest threat in all of this thing is disinformation. Right information is not coming out to the people. Even if information is right, it is not being disseminated as and when due. These are the issues. Okay, let me give you an instance. Last week, I got a report from someone from Okiode that an attack happened. A woman was kidnapped. So now, before I could actually find the story, I called the station police. So when I called her, she was, of course, that woman has been very much attentive. She picks calls regularly. So, but when I called her last week, she said she doesn't have that kind of information. Of course, and I don't know, as a journalist, I feel that the way we handle information, mostly journalists handle information differently. Okay, and the level of proactiveness that we show when information gets to us is not the same too. So the woman said I should give her some minutes. She will refer. 2 hours, 3 hours, I waited. I didn't get information. I called back. What is wrong? I had this, and it behoves on me as a journalist to push out correct information so that I won't mislead the public. So the onus is just that I couldn't get the exact info. Okay, it's not a little distance. So I feel that the best source for me to get information, if not any source, should be the security.
Yes.
I cannot reach the governor easily. His States cannot be reached easily. There was a time I even reached out to the SSA of Communications with his name. He didn't even acknowledge messages. So to tell you that there's this obvious breakdown in the way information is handled. And this is where the problem is. I was listening to the chief of army staff the other time. He was talking about how non-state actors have taken over, because we deny some of these real facts easily. The issue we are dealing with at the moment is very urgent. And there's no way we can handle it more than we trying to ensure that information that we push out to the public is urgent too. Not only urgent, it is one that people can actually hold on to. Because the moment you say something is happening, like regarding surveillance, something is happening, now do this, okay? So who passes the information matters. When the information gets to people, matters too. Because it is these two factors that will determine how people will now respond. If, for instance, I expect my governor to speak, or at least his SSC, who is deemed to be credible, to speak, and none of them is speaking. According to the security, I didn't get the correct information. Then I will have to react based on my own volition, which might not be in tandem with the security layout at a particular place. So for me, it's still the issue of governance. It's the issue of seriousness. It's the issue of how attentive you are to the plight of the people. So I have to say this very, brutally. The government attitude towards the whole situations. However, how do you want to actually place it? It's not encouraging.
Well, I want to come to this from this side. I think it seems some people have been crying foul that the government, some apparatus, maybe from the governor's side, or maybe from some people, individual that are trying to suppress the, story of insecurity in our state. Some people have been saying that their voices have been suppressed, they have been receiving threat calls. A lot of people have come out to even mention names that this person called me, threatening me to stop talking about insecurity. What, like, as an information expert and as a public affairs analyst, do you think, like you said, somebody called you that there was a kidnapping incident, you called the police said they have not gotten that information, but you're trying to make sure that you didn't put the wrong information to the public, that your own credibility from the person that gave you the story is on the line, and then you're trying to protect your own credibility in front of the public too. So if that person gets the information, the next day,
He might not actually
want to come to you, because it will be like, okay, I gave him one yesterday, did he use it? But what I'm saying is, how about some people threatening people to stop talking? Are they? What does that say? Because there is a saying in Nigeria that if a government comes out to deny a story, there's a very high probability that it's the truth. Don't you think? Do you think this same? I would say that the people in government. I will talk a bit about this. The people that are currently managing the information of this government are people of our peer group, of our age peers. They cannot run away from that. They represent our generation. Do you think they are doing it right by calling people to stop talking about security?
You see, we will just be jumping from one, so issue to the whole language that we are going to the same destination. I said it from the beginning. It speaks to the way the governance structure is arranged. I said something somewhere 2 weeks ago about you having people. When I say people, I talk about transparent people in government. Okay, now if you look at the whole situation, there's something that is really coming out that people are not paying attention to, and that is the fact that the governor himself, I don't know, it might not be true, is not engaging his people consistently. Okay, that gap has been there for so long, but because politics, and politics is everything is politics.
Everything is politics.
The point is that when you have this kind of situation, nobody should have that bigger voice than yourself, who is the governor, the chief administrator of the state. I won't blame SAs. It's just a mere appointment. You get the point now. So I don't have any business with that. SAs are not elected, people. The major factor here is the governor. So if I were the governor, for instance, now, I should know that it's a difficult moment for me. A moment where I have to be not only be tolerant, but I have to be extremely proactive. Engagement that are not really important should not be coping my time. I shouldn't be outside the state oven. I should be with my people, be at the context where this insecurity is happening. It's commendable. He has visited Okiode, he has gone to some, communities in particular and all of that. But that's not enough. Beyond this physical visit is the technical aspect of what you're doing. Okay? The moment you delegate sensitive responsibilities to SAs, what is expected is just that it will be manipulated. Okay? People that don't even have the leverage to speak to a very important situation like we are witnessing, we have that opportunity to speak. And ultimately, it will be confusing the public. Okay? On social media, there are stories flying around about how some governors or appointees are manipulating, the whole situations, like some citizens are also doing. Okay, allegedly. Okay, but the point is this: if the governor has actually devised a centralized, transparent, proactive, and trustworthy medium through which he can engage the citizens, it's not difficult. Sometimes I wonder, why is it that when government needs something to get to us as people, when they need something from us, they devise all these means, clever means to reach us. So they can go to public media, go to radio, go to TV, and you see the informations that is of benefit to them getting to us so easily. Why is it that when it comes to issues as sensitive as insecurity, we twist the whole thing, the whole story now changes? So it is the level of attention that we pay to important issues like this. So at least every week, since this attack is consistent. So we are in the front, like for instance now, yesterday I got almost 3 calls. Okay, distress calls. Because journalists most times get this information but even more quicker than the government themselves. Because people want their story out there. They want to be safe. They want to be comfortable in their communities. So, and there's another dimension to the whole thing. So, some of the stories that some media houses are bringing out, government apparatus are saying that no, these are wrong, these are falsehood. These stories are not to be trusted. For instance, there was an exclusive story done by Sarah reporters not long ago about bandits all these nonsense actors overrunning military architecture in the state. Few days after, government officials say no, it's wrong. What is that? This perspective is extremely misleading. Without them doing due diligence. So there is this issue that we are caught between difficult fires, and the whole blame, I'm not the governor, you're not the governor, is to the person that is empowered, that is elected to do this job, and feels that instead of them to speak with people directly, some people will not do the job. How naive! That's not possible.
I think that's why it has it. Is that not why it has it?
For me, it is not. These aides are also in trouble too. They are all citizens. Okay, so for instance, if every week, every weekend, Saturday, maybe Sunday, once in 2 weeks, speak to the people, let them convey the genuine information that they're getting from the security, since you meet them regularly, to the public. That way, your own voice will suppress other voices. And the idea of people saying that don't do that, insecurity is not happening. It is happening. The idea of suppressing it is politics at its nursery stage. If people are saying that they are not comfortable, they are not safe, and you are saying that no, your voice shouldn't go out, you will just be adding insult to injury. Okay, and the earlier we realize that our political maneuvers and the whole situations are not helping, the better for us. And most importantly, actually, is the tendency, the urgent tendency for us to see to the need of how information should be handled. Honestly speaking, disinformation is causing a lot of problem in these situations. A number of stories, either true or untrue, are just going. Some people will just create distress, saying that something is happening in very close to Ilorin, which is not true, because the government officials are not there. So instead of them to relate this to their boss, they begin to throw tantrums online. So what are we not doing?
Okay, but on the other side, somebody, there is a saying that action speaks louder than voice. We tend to deny these things, like you said, but we say, okay, now it is alleged that one of the symbols of the state that was once in Kwara is another part of Kwara State is now in the central. One of the major ornaments of the states in the Kwara South is now in the central. So we are denying the insecurity, but we are moving everything to the central. What does that say? That's number one. Number two is the conduct of the governor, like you said. The governor was interviewed at Ukiode, and he made an analogy of how the people that were killed in Ofa in 2018 was more than the people that were killed in Ukiode. Like, I'm talking about the psychological effect of this on the people who are not feeling safe. The people that were killed in Ofa, they knew it was a robbery. And you know, it's not something we ever pray to come back, but it's, that kind of thing doesn't really happen twice. But in Ukiode, these people are there. I mean, villages have been deserted leading to Ukiode. Ukiode was the next thing after that. There has been the cry. Maybe we've all decided to turn a blind eye, but the governor going there to say that this is not even up to what happened in 2018. What do you think is what kind of effect do you think that has? Because
For me, generally, that point is immaterial. What matters most here is the life of the people you're talking about here. But you cannot just be wasting time, moving around some of these issues that distract attention from the meaning of meanings. There don't have any two things are wrong with that particular statement. Of course, the context in which he made the statement also wasn't right. But that's for the statement. It's not important to the whole thing. It is a way to evade responsibility. Okay, and I said it earlier. If you have, because one of the attribute of a leader is that you should be resilient. Leader should be resilient. Okay, that's undoubting spirit to stay on, to stay bugging despite the whole situation. Speak volume about who a leader should be, and that is why I'm saying that we don't actually have leaders here. We just have some people overrunning the affair of the state anyhow. Okay, the governor is the chairman of the governors forum at the moment, signaling that he has far beyond other governance. He had this leverage, this federal leverage. Okay, it's commendable that he said the security base division 2 has been located to state cap, the Kwara state, just to deepen effort of the government to save lives and properties. But of what importance, however naive and irrelevant, that something happened in 2018, then because because the person whose party was in government when that incident happened should now be there responding to your allegations that no, because this thing happened, you couldn't handle it. Have you actually answered your own query? What is happening now? The moment should be the moment. Nobody was happy about what happened at Ufa. But Ufa is not the entire state. For me, the governor should be a true statesman at this moment, trying to weigh every statement he makes. Because his posture, his statement, will mark or make some of the effort that we're making at the moment. So the moment the governor is saying that, and that's why I talk about the governor appointees exploiting that gap with every opportunities they have, because the boss himself is giving that line. So you are blaming at the time you should be responding to sensitive issues. You're throwing, it's even a very baseless allegation. The issue has been debunked. Of course, it is almost a done case. But you're trying to resurrect issues that happen, a very devastating issue that happened at the moment where you should be attending to people plight. It speaks that the governor is not. Maybe there is this lack of understanding as regard what he should be doing.
You would know that you will agree with me that some governors appointees are still milking this thing. Not only the governor made that statement. Somebody wrote an article, the political communication essay of political communication, make this same issue, and then it has been made from every angle. You see this resurfacing of the video.
The appointee got the lead from his boss. Do you get the point?
But he said that that means they collaborate.
Of course, if I'm the boss, I said it just now. If I'm the boss, everything coming from me will determine what my appointees will do. Okay, at this moment, you should be giving very sensitive instructions. Okay, telling them that they shouldn't be inflaming the polity. It's a very fragile moment for everybody. So everything that must come out must be screened before it comes out. Most times if some of us that follow these appointees on social media, they just make random statements and they tag their name, below this. So you now wonder, how did you get this information? Who feed you? Okay, when there is authority in the land that people believe, that people trust. So what is happening now? It's a cumulative years of cumulative experience of how people engage, or how the government engages the people, and vice versa too. So because if the government is not engaging well, we have that possibility as citizens to demand answers to some questions. So it is in situations like this that we now tend to understand whether the citizens and the government are in sync, whether they connect. Because except you are lying, government alone cannot handle the situation that is happening. Addressing security requires us a collaborative effort. But when the government is not leading the way it should be led, citizens also will be derailing. So they won't be engaging the government. They should be the way they be engaging, and the incidents won't end that way. So people are saying that no, some people were raising false alarm about security getting close to the capital. I don't know why should you be? Is it something is happening at Okode, at Navi, like communities around Edu, and you think that those people are not long distance now, just 5 hours in a way. Okay, it tells you that issue is spreading. So what you should be doing is not debunking. Is you sitting up, trying to ensure that this thing demands a very urgent response. So we don't have anything at the moment to say regarding what is happening. But what we have to say is just that if the government knows that it is right, it is a responsibility to defend, to save life and properties, then it should sit up and do the job well. Not necessarily delegating responsibility to appointees who have actually, over the years, gathered enemies more than they gather friends.
I think in Kwara, we believe that government appointees are supposed to gather more enemies than friends. I think that has been the culture. Thank you very much. I think that's a very good place to leave it. Thank you very much, Mr. Abdulkabir Mbali. Is a journalist, a public affairs analyst, a climate actor. He has been giving us his views about the management of information between the government and the people, and vice versa. I think he has given us a very lucrative, intelligent property. Thank you very much, viewers. I think that's a very good place to leave it. We leave it till next week. I remember myself, Isiaq, once again. Do have a lovely day. See you next week.